Hi, I'm Dr. Adam Millman. I'm at the United States Navy base in Coronado, California on the beach. And coming to the beach always reminds me of a wonderful story that I heard told by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Earl Nightingale, and also Stephen Covey. And it's called The Doctor and the Four Prescriptions. And it has to do with a man who had a sense of malaise in his life, fatigue. He wasn't quite sure what was wrong. He just didn't feel physically very well. So he went to his friend who happened to be a physician. I can relate to the story because I hear this complaint all the time. Someone that's just not feeling well, they're not quite sure what it is, they don't have any energy, they seem to lack focus, and they're just not sure what it is, and is there a medicine that could fix the problem? So this man goes to his friend who happens to be a physician and says, I just don't know what's wrong in my life. I just don't feel good. I just don't know what it is. So the man who's a physician said to him, tell me, what did you used to like to do when you were a child? And the man said, I used to love to go to the beach. Every day in the summer I would go to the beach with my brother, and we had just an amazing time. We would run and play in the surf, and it was incredible. The physician sat back and said, fine, go to the beach. He said, when you go to the beach, I'm going to give you 4 prescriptions. And you must bring the prescriptions and follow them exactly the way it says inside of the prescriptions. And the man said, what are you talking about? You don't have any medicine for me. You know, that's what I need. And the physician said, go to the beach. That's what you need to do. And the man said, you can't be serious. And the physician said, I am serious. Where do you get my bill? Then you see how serious I am. So the man gets into it. The instructions are, you have 4 prescriptions. You open the first one at 9, the next one at 12, the next one at 3, the next one at 6. You go to the beach and you cannot bring any distractions with you. At the time of the story, the first time it was told, it was don't bring any magazines, don't bring any books, no radio, right? We wouldn't bring a radio to the beach anymore. You'd bring an iPhone or an Android. So you're not allowed to bring any distractions. You just have to go to the beach and open the prescriptions and follow the prescriptions exactly what the instructions say. So the man drives to the beach, gets out of the car, and he walks down to the beach. He looks around, suspicious and frustrated. He opens the first prescription. The first prescription says, listen closely. So he says, what in the world does this mean, listen closely? He said, I've been here for 10 seconds. I have already listened to everything I need to hear. But then as he starts listening more closely, he says, oh, I hear the wind. I hear the surf. I hear seagulls. If I listen closely, I think I can even hear sand crabs. There's so much to hear around me. There's so much I wasn't paying attention to before that I can hear. See, previously when he got to the beach, he was in what Dr. Stephen Covey calls his private life. We are all defined by our what is called a public life, which is what people see, what we display on the outside, what people think we are. There's your role in society, your role in the church, your role in the synagogue, your role in society, your role with your friends around you. For me, I'm a physician, so I have that role. Other people have a role as a mother, as a father, as an employee somewhere. That's how they define themselves. And often this is defined by other people. Our reality, who we are publicly is created by other people because we don't have a good sense of who we are and what we want out of life, what our principles are, and we find ourselves actually being lived by other people, so that we don't really know who we are as a person and what our goals are and what we want out of life. So it's created by society. Expectations set by other people wind up becoming expectations for ourselves. What society expects of us is what we then want of ourselves. What we do as a career, academically, may be defined by other people. We are driven into this by what other people want for us, what they think is in our best interest, because we're not really sure what we want for ourselves. Then we also have we have what's called our private life. This is when you come home and you watch television, or you read, or you do a puzzle, and that's what you do when no one's around. But then there's a deeper meaning. There's a deeper part of us, which is called the deep inner life. And the deep inner life is who we really are on the inside, what we say to ourselves when no one is around. And no one really knows what that is except for ourselves. No one really sees that. And that's where we decide for ourselves, if we ever think about it for a long enough period of time, what we actually want out of life, who we are, what we're living by, what our goals are in life, and what we want to get out of this limited time that we have on the earth. So this man goes to the beach and he opens the prescription, and he seems to be lost. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do because he's into his public life. I'm at the beach. I need to get home. This is not what I want to be doing. But he hasn't thought about what the deeper meaning of the task that the physician sent him for could actually mean. So he listens to all these things around him and realizes there's much more going on around him than he realized before. And then he didn't even want to open the second prescription. The second prescription that he opened at 12 o'clock said, try reaching back. Try reaching back. So when he realized what that meant, try reaching back. He realized, maybe I should think about what used to be my life when I was younger. I used to love to go to the beach with my brother. We used to go there after school, and we would play in the surf, we would play in the sand, we would play in the ocean, and it was just an amazing relationship, a choice relationship, Dr. Stephen Covey says. And he could never get enough of it. All he wanted to do was to go to the beach and be with his brother and play outside and just play and enjoy everything that nature had to offer. And so he realized that these are things that he was not doing. Inside of us are things that we did when we were children that we no longer do. There are aspects of our personality. You could look at it as archetypes of Carl Jung, where we each have different aspects of our personality, and there are often parts of it that are not being pursued and they're not being cultivated when we get older, as we get more clearly defined into specific roles in society, as a mother, as a father, as a physician, as an attorney. It becomes very narrow it seems to be acceptable for you to do and what you can do with your limited time. But then when you were a child, you used to love to go to the beach, and now you don't do that. You used to love to paint, but now you don't do that. You used to love to draw, but someone told you you'll never make any money by drawing, so you can't do that. So that was minimized and it was de-emphasized and maybe even criticized, so you can now go on to do more important things that would make you successful in life. But those things are deep inside of us that we should cultivate and we should bring out. It doesn't mean you quit your job and you get a position as a finger painter somewhere. That's not what it means. But the creativity that was inside of you, you should tap into. The things you used to like to do when you were a child, going to the beach, those are things you should still do. And instead of saying, I don't have time for that, I need to make money, I need to have a job, I need to get the extra client, I need to build my career, because inside of us there's things in the past that we need to cultivate that are important to us. So he remembers reaching back and what it was like to be with his brother and how important that was, and how that was no longer what he was doing. It was de-emphasized. By the time the next prescription came around, the first two were in preparation for this one. This is what Dr. Stephen Covey calls the deep bitter pill. He opens the prescription at 3 p.m. and the prescription says, reevaluate your motivations. Reevaluate your motivations. He started to think that the motivations that he had for doing the things were not quite centered with who he was as a person, with principles and with his values, that even in his attempts to be charitable, there was some deeper inner motivation that other people didn't know. When he appeared to be charitable for charity's sake, there was a deeper motivation for recognition from other people. In his attempts to be anonymous in his service to other people, there was actually an attempt or a desire that other people would know why he was doing it, why he was involved. So instead of being charitable for charitable's sake, there was a desire that people would recognize him for what he had actually done. And so we should all look at our motivations for why we do things. Are we doing things out of expectations from other people, out of recognition from the community or family or our friends of society? When we make that donation, is it because we are wanting to be charitable because it is the right thing and we want to help? Or is it because we want other people to recognize what we've done? For sure, it's nice to be recognized for what you do, but what is the real reason when you are charitable that you are charitable? Is it the purpose of altruism and to help others, or is it because you want other people to know why you're doing it? And in other aspects of our life, why do we do what we do? Are we doing what we're doing because of expectations of other people, because of recognition, because of financial gain? Is that why we're doing what we're doing? Or is the motive really aligned with what are called principles and values? Are we doing it because it's the right thing and aligns with our core principles, which could be integrity and truth and with justice and with service to other people? Or do we do the things that we do because we want other people to know that we're doing that? We want that recognition, we want that significance, we want people to say something to us. Do we want the accolade? Do we want the congratulations? Do we want the thank you and appreciation for doing what we do? So it's a good idea to re-examine the motivations for why we do things. Are we being lived by other people? Are we living a specific way because of expectations of society? Are we doing what we do because these are the things that we want, or are we doing them because other people have expectations for us? And this is what we think we should be doing. Go inside, deep inside of you, in what is called the deep inner life, and re-examine why you do what you do on a daily basis. Why are you getting up? Why are you getting up? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you going to work? Why are you going to the church service? Why are you going to the synagogue service? Is it for the purpose of being seen there? Is it for the purpose of being in the community? Is it whatever the motivation is, re-examine it, because often we can find ourselves trapped in a way of living where we get up every day and do the same thing every day, and we don't even know why we're doing it. We're getting up every day because that's what we've always done, and that's what we need to do, or this is what the expectation of the community or the church or the synagogue or the mosque or the temple is, or the expectations of the community. We should re-examine why we do what we do. And when we do things that are charitable, are they charitable for the right reason, or is it from some other reason, some deeper reason that maybe we don't want to talk about because it isn't really aligned with who we actually are? So this is a good point to re-examine why we do what we do, and think about what are the most important things to me. What are the core principles, the values that I live by, and am I living that way? When I get up every day and do the things that I do, is it because of are my actions aligned with these principles and with these values that I hold dear to me? When you write these down in what is called a mission statement, write down what are the most important things to you. To you, not to what other people told you. And maybe they overlap and they are the same thing, but make sure that what someone says, what you're doing for the reason that what you think is important for you and your life and your family are things that you've come up with, not what other people have told you, that you're not living someone else's reality, and that you are a mirror of society, that you're doing what society says to do, because there could be virtue in doing that, and there is virtue in doing that, but make sure the things that you're doing is aligned with principles that you have set up for your life, not by other people. When he opens the fourth prescription says, write your troubles in the sand. He goes to the high water mark, he writes and makes a few notes, makes a few markings in the sand, a problem that was bothering him with a seashell, and he turns around and walks away, and the last thing that he wrote on the sand, and the tide was coming in. The tide comes in and washes away the problem that he had written in the sand. And this happens with most of our problems. Many of the problems that we have in life are not really problems. These are things that we think about before we go to bed that make us literally crazy and incapable of falling asleep, because we are constantly in a state of worrying. If we're not worrying about something, then it means that maybe we're not serious about specific problems or problems in general. But to worry for worry's sake is also not productive. Many of the problems that we have in our life, or many of the things that we think are problems, are not necessarily as large as they may be. So when he writes the problems in the sand, he walks away from the water, walks back to his car, he turns around, the tide comes in and washes away the problem. Many of our problems are not as big as we think they are, and with the right attitude and with the right planning and the right assistance from other people, these problems can be alleviated. And sometimes they're more problems in our head, the problems with who we think we are, or something in the future, or something in our past, and these aren't even things that we can fix, or the way that we fix them is just a different way of thinking about them, not necessarily a physical activity that has to be done to solve a problem like a leaky faucet. But problems that we think exist may not actually be as great as we think they are. A problem with what we think about our lives, or a problem we think about our past or our future, they could be changed with just maybe a different way of thinking, as simple as maybe as the tide coming in and washing it away. Understanding your past, looking at everything that is around you, looking at your motivations, your deep inner core, figuring out what your principles are, and understanding that many of the problems that we have are not as great as we think they are. Thank you for watching.